Bang! Neeves Knives, I'm Jared, and today we are going through a whole bunch of really cool Kizers. Like, I don't know how Kizer keeps, like, pretty much topping their last stuff, even though their last stuff was so damn good. They have a few models from their last drop that's just absolutely amazing, and same thing with this drop. So this one is the new Kizer Seagull. It reminds me of a model from a while back that Kizer did, but has a hollow ground, a deep hollow ground. You can call it a drop point, but it's somewhat of a spear pointish blade in 14C28N with this black stone washed coated finish. Then we have a contoured, I'm going to call it silver, but silver aluminum blasted handle. It does have a little bit of the powdery feel. Then we have a clip that's not inset, but it does have flat screws and an aluminum blue backspacer on this one. Great access to the lock bar, and this is where this one shines, man. The action on this is amazing. The flipper tab is put in a position where it's small, but this thing flies out there. So lots of leverage. Then you have the front flipper. Again, tons of leverage on that guy. Like, it's just so easy to manipulate. Then you have a hole deployment for the reverse or thumb flick. Also equally as good. It's tough doing three forms of deployment that are all perfect, and this is definitely executed perfectly. Very good ergonomics. Just an awesome knife that did a good job separating the plunge grind from the edge. Nice job texturing this area for the choke up and the spine. Got a little texturing up here at the tip for utility cuts. And I like how the pivot collar matches the backspacer. TA hardware all the way around. Man, what a badass knife. And, you know, with this geometry, you know, it's when you sharpen it, it's not going to get thicker behind the edge, or at least not much. And then it's going to slice really well with a great size knife and a great functional blade. Next is, now this one is the Raze. Now this clip point, not 100% my style personally, but I will say this: if use or practicality is your go-to, which it usually is for me, this is a very practical design. We have a straight clip point, stone wash, well, a two-tone finish on the blade, stone wash and satin, S45 VN, aluminum handle, titanium clip with a shred carbon fiber inlay on both sides. We have an internal liner lock, so this is a liner lock, and you can see it has great access to that lock bar, and the front flipper does a real good job wrapping all the way around. Now, this jimping is not my favorite jimping for a front flipper. It's actually the kind I dislike, but this front flipper is too easy, so it doesn't really matter. So I'm not complaining about this front flipper. I'm just talking about this type of jimping is not my favorite, but when it's executed like this, I mean, it doesn't matter what type of jimping you put on a front flipper that works this good. The hole deployment is easy to get to. You can also do the thumb. It's a little bit tighter, but I easily can get it. No problem. And like I said, the reverse looks great. Very ergonomic. This blade shape, very utilitarian. For a clip point, this is a low tip clip point. Look, the tip is even lower than the center of the pivot. So doing a utility cut is easy. You have a little bit of belly for cutting down on a flat surface, but not much. It's almost a straight edge, so slicing is going to be great. And because these ergos, you know, you can use it in just about any grip. The clip has a little bit of tension on there. Now, it's fine. No, it's good. It's good. It's got a little bit of tension, but it's good. TA hardware all the way around. Let's look at that plunge grind. Plunge grind, you know, they did clear it, but I would prefer a little bit more distance. I can see that, yeah, I'll probably hit the plunge on that, or at least by the second or third sharpening, if not the first one. So that'd be my biggest nitpick on this one. The geometry also is thick. So that's, well, because the tip is the way it is, if this thing was super thin, this tip would probably break. So it does have a much more stability out at the tip while also being very pokey. So for utility cuts, it's going to be phenomenal, but for slicing, it's not going to be the best slicer because it does have a flat grind and it almost feels like a convex. It is a little bit thicker, but sometimes people are looking for just that. They want something that's going to be very precision oriented, but not fragile behind the edge. And that's definitely this right here. Awesome knife. Great job. Next, now, let's get to one of my favorites of the bunch. We have, this one is the Stafy. Now, the Stafy has a beautiful harpoon drop point dual ground blade in S45, and I love Staffys, by the way. It is an Osho design, and as you can see, it has a hint of recurve. Now, this hint of recurve is not going to matter. You could sharpen this easily, even on a flat stone. To make it this straight, you would just sharpen out this part a little bit first and then straighten it out, if that was what you wanted to do. But if you wanted to make this recurve even more pronounced, you could easily do that as well. So that's kind of cool, because, you know, you kind of just are going to sharpen it to whichever way you want. If you don't want to have a recurve, you can do that. If you want to have a recurve, you can do that. Aluminum handle with the two-tone finish. I like that. TA hardware all the way around. Titanium clip. And then the backspacer is an aluminum full backspacer. You can see it is all, I think it's aluminum. It might be titanium, but I think it's aluminum. Let me see if the box says. I don't think so. Oh, wait, no. It is. It is titanium. This whole thing is titanium. This feels like aluminum. Is it titanium? Maybe it's aluminum and titanium. It says it's titanium, so. Okay, all right, never mind. This is titanium. Okay, so we have titanium backspace, titanium clip, titanium scales, and we have the clutch lock. Now, this one is a thumb stud deployment, and the thumb studs work great. Their clutch lock is amazing. Now, I do have a little complaint about the next one that I even love more than this one, but the action is amazing on this one. Nice snap, great placement for the thumb studs, great execution for the thumb studs, stupid ergonomic. This thing is ridiculous. It is so, so comfortable in the hand. I could choke up. I could bear down. I could do anything with this type of handle and blade shape. Like, it just is a very functional blade. And then this is nice and deep, deep, deep hollow grind. So very thin. So when you're slicing, you're going to be able to slice really good. But if you needed to pound through something right here on the belly, it's going to be a little bit more robust. But the tip is not so high that you can't do a utility cut. So that's great. Sharp control and plunge grind is a complaint. I do wish they would have backed this end up to right here, so that I had from here to sharpen, especially because it has that slight recurve and you might want to straighten it out. So it's a little bit of a negative, not a big deal. I have tried the clip. The clip worked great, but it does have some tension, but it works great. These like little cuts right there kind of give it a little bit of a bend. Hidden lanyard back there. The clutch lock is adjustable. However, they did not send me extra Omega springs on this one. And I was actually very disappointed. I'm wondering what's going on, because none of my crossbar locks in this package came with extra Omega springs. I'm hoping they're not stopping that. I'm hoping it was just my packages, but because that is something that I very much look forward to from Kizer. Next is my favorite one of the bunch, and we still have a few left. This is the Bully. Now, the Bully's an S45BN, also with a DLC titanium and Mars fat carbon fiber. So this one, you have the hole and the thumb stud that is removable. So if you don't want the stud, you don't have to have it. If you want it, you can have it. It has a drop point. Now, normally I'm into a little bit more poon action. I love harpoons, and you can see this blade is they're very similar to one another. Going to function extremely, extremely similar, but something about this one, I just love how, I mean, both of them are aggressive, but I just love the look of this one. It does have a slight recurve, just like the other one, and it's going to be the exact same way as far as sharpening goes. This has, you know, a little bit more robustness over here, a lot more slicey right here at this very deep hollow, and S45VN, great steel. Basically, you could think of it as souped up S35. You know, it's got a little bit better edge retention than S35. I find that it does take a finer edge better than S35. Now, that doesn't mean it always takes a super fine edge well, but I found that depending on the heat treatment, it can. The titanium in handle, again, it's just like the last one, just so comfortable. Love this ramp, perfect jimping on the ramp. Then we have the clutch lock. Now, here's my one gripe with this one. This one didn't come with Omega springs, so that's upsetting to me. And my detent's a little bit lighter on this one. Now, it is a clutch lock, so it is adjustable. I can't tell what setting it's on, without taking it apart. So I'm going to take it apart to see if it's on a lower setting than the strongest. But if it's set at the strongest, I don't have the extra omega spring to make it even stronger, which to me is a massive plus. So Kizer, if you hear this, add those extra omega springs in, especially, you know, when you can do the thicker set, because by having the thicker set makes it where now, even if you're set it at the strongest, I still have the ability to go even stronger. But also, if I break my omega springs, I can replace them very easily. It's always great seeing extra omega springs. The clip is the exact same, back spacer exact same. Basically, this is a very similar knife. Like they don't have a lot of differences except for the harpoon. And, you know, maybe the action. Now, the hole deployment on this is easy to get to. They do put it nice and low, so it makes it to where that's right where your reverse flick wants to land. And then the thumb stud is placed right where your thumb wants to land. So you kind of have the best of both worlds, and you can still reverse flick off of the stud. Like I said, this is such a badass knife. You know, I have the same nitpicks though. Plunge grind, you know, you can see this one's actually hitting the edge. So if I wanted to straighten this edge out, which I would just let it recurve. But if I did want to straighten it out, I'm going to make a smile. Either way, when I sharpen, I'm going to make a smile on this. So that'd be, like I said, my biggest complaint. Yeah, what a beauty, man. I love these things, man. These are great knives. Potentially my favorite Kizers right now. There's a couple other ones that would be competing. It looks like we're going to have to do a top 5 or a top 10 very soon. And then next is a little slip joint. Ooh, listen to the walk and talk on this. This is incredible. Hear this out. Has a nice little chirp to it. The pull is not super strong. The nail tack or whatever, I don't like to use those. I like to pinch and grip, and this is an easy pinch, grip it, and rip it. It does have titanium scales with this beautiful wood, and then it has a Damascus. Now, I'm going to guess that this is their 10CR Damascus. That's what all these companies have been using, which is a great Damascus. You can see the beautiful pattern in it. I've noticed that this is very similar performance to Damasteel. I'll be honest, it really is. And Damasteel is much more expensive. Now, they might be able to get a little bit more performance out of that, seeing that it's RWL 34 and this is 10CR, but they're not far off from each other. They're going to be very similar. This is super comfortable, super ergonomic. And, you know, with the titanium, the back spacer, look at that. It's an Azo design. Oh yeah, what was the name of this one? The Trestle. The Trestle. The Trestle. But yeah, this is definitely a very nice slip joint. Now, it did not come with a sheath at all, so that's something you would have to grab separately, but that's not a big deal. Let's talk about nitpicks. The plunge grind's actually okay on this one. It's separated from the edge, so I'm not going to complain about that one. Of course, you know, this is the stop on the inside, so when it closes, it has to have that, so that's why this is out a little bit farther than the edge, which I'm perfectly fine with because that's going to work. It is I think this is a hollow. Is this a flat? It might be a flat. Let me just check this really quick because this is very, oh, come on. It's super thin behind the edge. Nope, that's a flat. So it's a very thinly ground flat grind. I like that. Beautiful clip point. Jimping is functional. T8 hardware. Love to see that all the way around, except for the pivot. Oh, wait. No, it is T8. Sorry. T8 hardware all the way around. Look at how big that looks compared to that, doesn't it? No clip. That's one thing I think that would have benefited this. Look at that machining on the Nakuda wood. Lanyard back there. And, you know, you just need a sheath now, you know, and maybe a lanyard if that's your style. Let's get to the next one. Now, this next one, both fixed blades, I want to say this, both of the fixed blades coming up, because there's 2 of them, come with 3 options. So you can do this, a neck knife, or you can belt clip it. So if you look inside the handle here, we have the cord for a neck knife, and it's got the belt for the clip. or to clip it to your belt. So they give you extra stuff so you can choose to carry it however you want, which is really cool. Most companies are not going to do that for you. They're not going to send you every option. They're going to send you one option typically. So I'd love to see that. This is a sheep's foot blade in AEBL steel, which is, you know, it's similar to 14C, just not as much edge retention. 14C I do like a lot better. I think it takes a better, finer edge, and it obviously holds it better. The sheep's foot blade is beautifully done though, and it has this gray micarta scale, full tang. You can see all the fibers in that micarta. Really nice furry texture, nice and grippy. Even when it's wet, that's going to be nice and, you know, it's not going to be slippery. The retention on the sheet, a little bit of rattle, not much though. It's really good. Nice push off point, nice snap. So yeah, great sheath. And you know, this one would work great for a neck knife. You know, it's a nice size, perfect size for it. Nice pinch grips. Plunge grind is great on this one, or at least decent. You might hit that on your stone, but you know, just gotta be careful. Nice compact size though. You know, I can get a full 4-finger grip, but it's like right on the money. So yeah, that's a pretty cool one. Now this next one again does the same thing. You got the neck knife, you can do the belt clip, or you can do the tack. So it's up to you. This one's a little bit more of a tactical knife. Oh, by the way, sorry guys. This one's name is the Phasmids by Johan Jordan. And now this one is the Quartz, also an AEBL by Cornell Kiss. So Cornell Kiss's design, and you can see this has some wicked triangular shapes, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, they're triangle shapes for the jimping, which is pretty interesting, but I will say, very comfortable. Even my fingers landing right on those doesn't bother me whatsoever. Now this, I'm not a big fan of. This to me is like just, it's not sharp or anything. It's just, you know, unless it's, I guess if it's like a design thing, because I see the triangle there. So I get it if that's like your logo or your deal, but to me, you know, I could go without these, but these don't really bother me. They probably actually add a little traction, but they're super comfortable. And this is not uncomfortable, by the way. It is a Tonto. Has a little bit of a drop to the blade, so you can kind of get to the tip without raising your elbow too high. The secondary tip is not pronounced though, so you know, you got to take that into consideration. It is a high tip Tonto. Now personally for me, I like a lower tip Tonto, typically more so, unless if that secondary tip is very, very pronounced. This one you can see is more rounded, so you can use it, but you're not going to be able to use it like you would if it was very pokey. It does have a nice straight edge though, so you're going to be able to slice, and then the rounded area up here, you can cut down on flat surfaces. It's going to have a lot of strength in the tip for puncturing. Plunge grind is great. They did a great job right here. You can see I like how they did that. That's also cool, little triangle there. I didn't even notice that one. That's actually cool right there. I like the way they did that. So shout out to them for choosing that. The edge, you know, could be a little bit sharper, but gorgeous stonewash, G10, AEBL, super tough steel. This is relatively thick, pretty robust. So this is going to be a robust compact knife, something that I'm not telling you to do this with your knife, but you can absolutely pry with this thing. But you know, for the size of it, I would say it's going to do better on your belt than a neck knife, but you know, to each their own. A tiny bit of rattle. That's twice now, Kizer. Not bad though. It's still got good, oh yeah, really good retention. Really good retention. Great ergonomics once again. Great pinch grips. Yeah, this one's cool. Not really my style because of the tip being so high. I like utilitarian knives, but you know, it's not about what I like to use. It's about what you need and whether or not, if this is your style, if it's going to work for you well. And I would say, yes, if you're looking for a robust Tonto that's compact, fairly easy to conceal, great ergonomics, here you go. Work hard, stay tough. Until next time, peace.